Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Commissioner's Office. Once again, my name is Austin Elliott. I'm the Commissioner of the Show Me the Money Fantasy Football League. I'm excited to have you all here today. I'm going to talk about the Week 1 matchups, what we saw, who performed well, and where they're standing going into Week 2. I'm going to give you guys power rankings, and I'm also going to catch you up on the key matchups going into Week 2. Week 1 was very exciting. We're finally back in football, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to be able to do this. So let's jump right into it. The first matchup we had was the Mud Dogs versus Patricia's Militia. This game was total lopsided. The Mud Dogs really came out hard. I give them a lot of credit. I originally was very low on them in the draft. I didn't think that they had what it took. We'll see if it was just a little bit of luck going for them in Week 1. I still don't see them as a very strong team, but obviously they proved something. They came out on top 146-71, and Patricia's Militia had absolutely nothing going for them. They had nobody over 20 points. Their highest score was Julio Jones, who had 15, and that wasn't even done until in the fourth quarter. At one point, the owner of this team was Googling if the players retired because they had absolutely no production. It was quite a strange scene to see that from an owner's point of view. He wasn't sure who he drafted, whether they still played football, whether they got injured. I mean, there was just no production. So I still think that the Militia are a very strong team, and I think that they'll make a deep run. I think that just Week 1 was the perfect storm of nobody being able to produce. We'll see if they can make the adjustments and go on to win in Week 2. In the second matchup, we had Outer Space versus the Inglorious Staffords. That was a total lopside as well. Outer Space, We Don't Kneel came out on top 174-100. They had McCaffrey that went off for over 40. They had Derrick Henry that scored almost 30. And Inglorious Staffords made some really bad decisions. They sat Sammy Watkins after being told before the game that they should have him in. They decided that no, they wanted Julian Edelman, and they left a 50 burger on their bench. Obviously, that 50 point would not have won them the game, but it shows a lack of ownership, and it shows that team is not able to make the correct decisions. It's really disheartening to see that. So that's a team that we think might be pretty mediocre, and if they keep having performances like that and making those mistakes, they're going to be at the bottom of the league this whole year. The third matchup we had is Team USA and 50 Shades of Slay. That was just a 1-point victory for Team USA. They won 111-110. I guess that they're trying to go with last year's strategy in the championship game when they lost by 0.4 points. They really like these close games, but they came out on top. The biggest takeaway from this was that 50 Shades of Slay, their second highest player was a kicker at 17 points. That's pretty remarkable to me. Obviously, Team USA had a solid performance from Dalvin Cook. But another thing to keep an eye on here is if 50 Shades of Slay had played Josh Allen instead of Ben Roethlisberger, they would have won that game. It's a little upsetting to see that again, knowing that you could have made one matchup change and that could have won the game for you. But that's what separates the bad owners from the good owners. So Team USA looked pretty good. I think that they're going to be a middle of the pack, maybe a little bit higher tier team, but we'll see exactly what they have in Week 2. This was a really exciting game for a while. We had the Y-Town Killer Bees versus Southern Justice. Southern Justice still rocking with 2 wide receivers, and something I've actually never seen before in a league. Southern Justice opted to play a tight end in the flex position. It was just really shocking to see that because I don't know anyone that takes on that strategy. For those of you that don't know, that team is now co-owned between Brian Elliott and Kevin Elliott, so there are 2 owners on that team. But obviously they need to do something because you can't have a tight end as a flex. I'm mind-boggled by that. Y-Town Killer Bee had Eckler, who went off for over 40. They had Deshaun Watson, so it was going to be tough to stop them. And Southern Justice did a heck of a job. They stayed in there for a while. They lost by a little bit over 30 points. But I thought that they had a pretty good game. Once again, if they make some trades for the quarterbacks that they have 15 quarterbacks on their team. So if anybody needs one, I would recommend trying to make a trade for one of them. They also have a lot of defenses and still rocking with the 2 wide receiver look. Once again, I'm shocked, but we'll see if it works out for them. Another very exciting matchup was the Shirtless Pete Carroll versus the Hotel Motel Galladay Inn. Hotel took the lead, and they won by 10 points, 153 to 143. They had DeAndre Hopkins Monday Night Football going for 31 points. I don't think he got any extra points for that suplex that he put on the Saints DB, but we'll see if that counts for anything. Pete Carroll looks strong. They put up almost 150 and they still lost, so I don't really discredit them. I think Hotel Motel just had a really solid game. Looking forward to week 2, I think I chose 2 matchups in which I think is going to be the closest games and something to keep an eye on. We have Team USA versus Hotel Motel. 2 undefeateds going at it. Somebody's going to drop. I think it's going to be a close game back and forth, and my prediction is that Hotel Motel is going to win that game by about 5 points. I think that Team USA is going to hang in there, but I just think that maybe a roster change or adjustment is going to cost them that victory. So we're riding high on Hotel Motel right now. And the second game that I'm going to highlight is the Patricia Militia versus the Y-Town Killer Bees. Militia have something to prove now. They were the lowest scoring team in week 1 with only 71 points. That's pretty pathetic, but I think that this week they're going to come out strong. Their team is looking good. They had a nice week of practice. Everybody's feeling good. And I just don't think that the Y-Town Killer Bees are going to be able to stick around with the team that they have. So I think that's going to be a very good matchup. And my prediction is that the Patricia Militia are going to win comfortably. I'd say by about 15 points. But once again, we'll see what happens. So now I'm going to give you the power rankings, tell you exactly where I think teams stand in which order. So coming in number 10, I have the Inglorious Staffords. This was a team that, yes, they did reach the 100 moral victory, good for them score, but I don't think that they're going to be able to hang around and compete with teams on a week-to-week basis, especially leaving Sammy Watkins on the bench. I just can't get over that mistake. I don't think that that owner is able to run this team in the proper way that they should. There were reports in the middle of the first half of the first games that he was talking about selling the franchise because he knows that he's just not the owner for this team. I'm just very disheartened by the performance by them, and I'm calling you out. I think you have a lot to prove in this league. And the number 9 slot, I have 50 Shades of Slay. This was a team that we expected a lot from. But they lost a close game. They scored 110, still lower end score. So don't give them too much credit for losing by 1. And they had the position where they should have played a different quarterback, and they made that mistake. So that's why I have them at number 9. I think this team has the ability to go far, but they have a lot to prove. Number 8, I have Southern Justice. I give this team a lot of credit. They picked, back-to-back quarterbacks in the draft, back-to-back tight ends, back-to-back defenses. It was just a very interesting draft strategy. But obviously, something's going right for them. They put up 125 points. So I think that they are going to be able to do some damage. They had Deshaun Jackson that went off in week 1. That was the last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, as you could call him. And he scored more than half the league. So I give him a lot of credit for that pick. I think that they make some moves week to week, and this is going to be a strong team to watch out for. In the number 7 slot, I have the Y-Town Killer Bees. I know that they're coming off of a victory, but I just don't see them being able to hang with the rest of the crew. In the number 6 slot, I have Team USA. They were highlighted week 1. They had Dalvin Cook. They also have Stephon Diggs, who's still battling that injury. And, looking from the Saints' perspective, they have Drew Brees. They have Kamara. So they have plenty of weapons. But once again, this team is going to ride or die on the Saints and Vikings. And I think that is going to be their downfall, which is why I put them in the 6th position and don't put them a little bit higher, because they are, just putting all their eggs in those baskets, and I don't think that it'll be able to last long for them. Coming in number 5, I have Patricia Militia. I know this might be a little controversial pick because they were the lowest scoring team in week 1, but I think they're a very solid team. They have plenty of weapons. Baker Mayfield throwing 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter, that didn't help anything. This team kind of fell apart, but it's hard to fall apart when they didn't even do anything in the first half of any of the games. So it was a really poor performance week 1, and I expect a lot out of them. So that's why I have them in the 5 slot, because I think that they will end the season in the top 3. Coming in number 4, I had the Mud Dogs. Obviously, we could not place the Militia in front of the Mud Dogs. Mud Dogs had a very solid game. They look like a good team. They know what they're doing. So I think that the 4 is a good spot for them. I don't think that they are too high. They're definitely not a top 3 team, but they're not bottom tiered either. Coming in number 3, we had Shirtless Pete Carrolls. They had a good performance. They just got outplayed, and it's a little bit upsetting because I have very high hopes for this team, and they lost to the Hotel Motel Galladay Inn once again. That Monday Night Football game really helped Galladay Inn there. They needed a big performance from DeAndre Hopkins, and they got it. So coming in number 2, I have Outer Space We Don't Kneel. Like I said, this is a very strong team. We expect them to go far, make a deep playoff run, and I really don't have too much bad to say about them. I know they were the highest scoring team at 174 in this week, and I think they have a lot of boomer bust players on their team, so watch out for them because they are a tough competitor, and they're never really making those mistakes on they should have played this guy or that guy. They just have a really solid team. So obviously, say the best for last. At number 1, we have Hotel Motel Galladay Inn. This team very much impressed me. I think last week I had them at number 9 on the power rankings, or even maybe number 10. I thought that this team was absolute garbage, and they proved me wrong. They went from worst to first. I think that this team is actually going to create some traction here and have a very strong season. I think that they're going to go far. And until I'm proven wrong, I'm going to keep them on the top of the power rankings. Once again, I appreciate you all listening here as we look forward to going into week 2. Thursday night football matchup, we have the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We all look forward to watching that. Obviously we're all a little upset from what we saw of the Detroit Lions in week 1 coming out with a tie. But we're looking forward to week 2, some more football. Thank you all for listening. Once again, my name is Austin Elliott, and have a good night. And once again, go Lions.